Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Listen, if you've ever felt like you just kind of blend into the background, or if you've convinced yourself that some people are just naturally born with these wildly fascinating auras while you completely miss the boat, well, I've got some fantastic news for you. Getting a personality? It's not like breaking into a high-security vault. It's actually surprisingly easy. So let's dive right in and fundamentally change how you view yourself. Picture this. It's a very relatable scenario. You're at a party, someone comes up to you, starts chatting, and then they hit you with that absolute dread-inducing question. So, what do you do for fun? And suddenly, your mind just goes completely blank. You completely freeze up. Why do you feel so boring in that exact moment? Well, it's because after the 82nd time in a row of not being able to name a single one of your interests or hobbies on the spot, it honestly starts to feel like you just don't have any. The dread sets in. But I promise you this is a very solvable problem, and the root of it isn't a lack of personality at all. To figure out why this happens, let's take a quick trip back in time. Think about how effortless having an identity was when you were a kid. Back then, your entire personality could literally just be liking Harry Potter, knowing some weird frog facts, and being unbeatable at Connect 4. That was it. And it worked, right? Within 40 seconds of meeting an adult, they knew you as the Harry Potter Connect 4 frog kid. It was clear, it was simple, and it gave you a really distinct identity. But as an adult, you're faced with this giant blank slate, feeling like you have zero defining hobbies, and as a result, feeling totally boring. You just lost that childhood simplicity. So what do we usually do when we realize we feel boring? We do what anyone does. We go straight to Google. And man, you're immediately hit with some incredibly unhelpful advice. You get targeted by ads for endless personality tests. People tell you to read more books or maybe to join a pottery class. And what actually happens? You go on the trips, you read the books, you take the pottery class, and you still don't feel like you've gained a personality. At least not the kind you actually care about, which is having interesting stuff to talk about and having people actually remember things about you. And then, of course, there's the holy grail of bad advice. Just be yourself. But as our source material points out, this is essentially just extrovert propaganda. Why? Because extroverts can be interesting just by existing. They use these social wizard tactics that just come naturally to them. An introvert might conceptually know about these tactics, but actually executing them, it's practically impossible without completely burning out. Trying to just be yourself when you feel like a total blank slate is just an incredibly frustrating cycle. Okay, so let's completely reframe this. Forget the idea of some mystical magnetic aura. A personality is really just an equation. It's the accumulation of clear, memorable traits. That's it. Think about famous figures like Elon Musk or Adele. The more clear, memorable traits you can instantly associate with someone, the more personality they seem to have. It's not magic, guys. It's association. Your goal isn't to fundamentally change who you are. Your goal is just to deliberately accumulate a few clear, memorable traits that stick in people's minds. The framework we're going to use to actually pull this off is called the spike method. Now, this isn't some cheap self-help gimmick. It's a legitimate, highly effective strategy used in high-stakes college admissions. Think about it. College admissions officers are literally paid to identify applicants with cool personalities. The spike method is how regular, everyday students get into Ivy League schools without needing their families to, donate a science building. They create a spike in their profile, something that sticks out wildly from the norm. And the best part? You could apply this exact same framework to your everyday social life. Let me show you how wonderfully normal a spike can actually be. Let's say, just for example, you kind of like cleaning. You find it relaxing. Well, imagine you start really leaning into this. You spend a little time every day learning new cleaning methods. You read up on the latest cleaning lore. You go deep down the rabbit hole watching cleaning videos online. Maybe you even save up, buy a pressure washer, and start blasting the dirt off people's driveways. You are taking a completely ordinary, mundane topic and intentionally turning it into a hyper-focused niche. And here is where the magic happens. Look at this number, 99%. If you focus on your chosen spike, like our cleaning example, for literally just 1 month, you will have put more experience into that specific niche than 99% of people will ever have in their entire lifetimes. That is crazy, right? You have suddenly, and honestly quite easily, become a statistical outlier. You're now the absolute expert in the room on that specific topic. All right, let's jump back to that awful social scenario. You're at a gathering, and someone asks you, so what do you do for fun? Before the spike method, this was the exact moment you froze. But now, no need to panic. You are securely known to yourself as the cleaning expert. You just casually reply, well, I'm really into cleaning. I've learned so many cool things the average person doesn't know. And naturally, what are they going to ask? Oh, really? Like what?
And boom, that's when you drop the hook. You lean in and say, "You want to know the truth about robot vacuums?" Look at how flawlessly this works. It's such an unexpected, hyper-niche answer. It immediately grabs their attention because it promises this kind of secret insider knowledge on something totally commonplace. You are no longer the boring person with no hobbies. You're the keeper of the robot vacuum secrets. You've instantly become clear and memorable. And it actually goes way beyond just making conversation. Say your friend is complaining they're bored on a Saturday with nothing to do. You can say, "Hey, I can bring my pressure washer over to your house and we can shoot the gunk off your driveway." Suddenly, your weird little niche interest is generating actual, real-world social plans. It sounds incredibly satisfying, it's fun, and it sparks genuine curiosity from other people. You've officially become the person who brings a unique experience to the table. Now, I hear what you might be thinking. Wait, am I just doomed to talk about cleaning for the rest of my life? No, absolutely not. Your spike simply gets your foot in the door. It just serves to break the ice. Instead of introducing yourself the exact same boring way as everyone else in the room, you get people to actually stop, smile, and listen to you. And once you have their attention, the pressure's totally off. You can easily pivot right back into a completely normal conversation about the weather, movies, or whatever else pops up. So, straight from our source material, here is your foolproof 3-step action plan. Step 1, find a weird interest. It literally does not matter how obscure it is. Step 2, gain experience in it until you know slightly more about it than most people do. Remember that 99% rule. And step 3, when introducing yourself to people, talk about this thing. And that's it. There is no secret step 4. This is a highly actionable strategy you can literally start using today. Now, if you're sitting there doubting whether a weird niche will actually work for you, let's look back at those college admissions officers. When they find someone who is better than 99% of people at something wildly obscure, it absolutely catches their eye. This is exactly why the college essays with the highest success rates are always about super niche topics. We're talking things like competitive knitting or the medical applications of Tetris. These topics prove that being memorable isn't about being perfectly well-rounded. It's about having a sharp, distinct spike that makes you stick out from the pile. Okay, but there is one absolutely crucial disclaimer to all of this, and it's what we call the Bill Nye rule. You can pick absolutely anything you want as your spike, but you must explain it simply, without using jargon. Seriously, people are incredibly patient, and they'll listen to almost any topic, but only if they can actually understand what on earth you are saying. The second you start throwing around big words and niche terminology to sound smart, people are going to completely tune you out. Let's break down how to actually structure your explanation using a complex game like Minecraft as an example. So let's say your spike is that you beat Minecraft without ever touching the ground. If you start by just blurting that out, nobody's going to care because they have zero context. You have to guide them. First, explain what Minecraft even is. Second, how you got into it. Third, explain the normal way you beat the game. And then, only then, at step 4, do you reveal your spike, how you beat it without touching the ground. You have to build that scaffolding so they actually understand why your spike is so impressive. And this really gets to the absolute core of good communication. Think about it. When Bill Nye explains volcanoes to you, it's fascinating, it's engaging, and it's crystal clear. But when someone with a PhD in volcano science explains them using heavy academic jargon, halfway through you start wondering if they're even speaking English. Complexity does not equal personality. Clarity and enthusiasm equal personality. Don't be the confusing academic. Be the enthusiastic science guy for your own specific niche. Which brings us to our final takeaway. You've got the equation now. You know that having a personality is simply accumulating clear, memorable traits. You have the spike method, the 99% rule, and the Bill Nye communication strategy. You never, ever have to fear that dreaded, what do you do for fun question again. So the only question left for you to answer today is this: what will your spike be? Go out there, find your wonderfully weird niche, and start being unapologetically memorable. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.